Today the topic of my lecture will be how to design and come to the load calculation for air conditioning system. Maybe it is auditorium, maybe it is hospital, or maybe it is for the any other system where the central air conditioning is required. I will be covering this in major 4 heads. First is the design parameters, planning parameters, then what are the problems or what are the challenges which executive face during the execution stage, as well as what are the points which one must bear in mind before checking the system whether it is totally foolproof. And in the last I will be covering about the maintenance, gentlemen. Let's start with the design and calculation. So as you are all aware that any design system, any air conditioning system, before design we must know what is the purpose. If it is hospital purpose, we should know how many number of beds, how many ICUs, and how many other operational theatres and other things are required during the planning stage. As well as when there is the auditorium planning, we must be aware of how many seaters, like there is 500 seater plan or it is 1000 seating plan. So all these data must be there which should be obtained from the users. And if it is missile shed, gentlemen, we must be aware of what kind of missiles are going to be stored, what are the frequency in which these missiles will be removed from the system, so that number of air changes, and what are the chemicals which are there in these missiles, so that when we are doing the air changes, that kind of frequency of air changes is we are able to conclude. So the most important parameter to start for the design and calculation is, gentlemen, temperature. So the temperature norm for the auditoriums and living spaces is 24 degrees plus or minus 2 degrees. Second important parameter is relative humidity, which is around 40 to 60%. Then is the air movement, which is around 8 to 12 meters, it should be per minute. Coming to the air purity level, it should be 20 microns, and sound level, it should not be more than 30 to 40 decibels. Gentlemen, now other following parameters which we must keep in mind. What happens is during the drawing, when we are planning the air conditioning system, we must know that the orientation of the building, which side is the orientation, what are the surrounding areas, from where is the sunlight, and because you are all aware, if the building is facing south, the whole day the heating load will be increasing. So accordingly we also should plan in the mind the size of the windows, size of the opening of the doors, as well as attic space and other building materials which are going to be used during the construction of that building. Coming to the inside design conditions, we must be asking very clearly when we are making the AEs also from the users, that what all kind of design equipments, as well as what all kind of other infrastructure and lighting which is going to be inside the various infrastructure. Come on to the lighting load and equipment load. As I have already covered, we must be aware of what all equipment is there. Occupancy load, we must plan for the maximum occupancy, gentlemen, because when it is for the designing thing, we are on the safer side. And outside condition, as I already said, what is the location, what is the humidity of the area, what is the general sunlight available. Now some flaws which executives generally overlook is what happens is, if there is a B&R officer, he focuses totally on the B&R issues. Somewhere it is left up to the wisdom of the JE and AG level. So here the compatibility of the B&R and E&M has to be kept in mind. So location of the holes in the wall, from where the ducts will be crossing and where the air handling unit will be placed, as well as when we are drawing the size of the windows, doors and attic spaces, should be catered in the drawing stage. And building materials already covered. Now come to the various types of HVAC system, gentlemen. Once we identify the load and we identify what are the user's requirement, we must come to some optimum and efficient system. So for that I will be just covering certain guidelines. So heating and cooling split system, which are very commonly used, split into separate system, that is indoor and outdoor system. Then in this what happens is, there are compressors, there is a refrigerant, and there are coils in the order to cool the surroundings. Then we can use heaters for the heating system where there are the cold temperatures. There is another system where it is hybrid split system, gentlemen. In hybrid system, it is we are using the 2 power supplies. One is the gas and another is the electrical power. Though it is efficient, but gentlemen, it is little bit on the costly side. Now coming to the duct free, that is the mini split system, gentlemen. This is again at upfront it is costly. Second is the conventional ducts systems are not suitable. There you can use this mini split system. Then the another system is package heating and air conditioning system. It is a compact unit system in which all the components are covered into the one. That is why it is called as a package unit, and it is easy to maintain. Now coming on to the some of the issues which I was addressing, that while execution stage, I will just give you a checklist what one should check. First is positioning of your fan coil unit, positioning of the duct, where is the air handling unit should be located. One must check for the leakage of refrigerant while executing. Then the duct work should be efficient, there should be proper insulation on the duct, leakage in the duct should be checked timely, and quantity of refrigerant. Now some of the problems which executives face if there is improper planning, if we design over or undersize of plant, then there are changes of site. At certain point of the execution, users said that it has happened that operation theatre was supposed to be in the ground floor, and now they are saying that operation theatre has to be on the first floor. So now this kind of dynamics, it has to be catered, and one has to be very, very flexible, and accordingly the plan has to be amended. So for that you again have to have some flexibility in the system. Coming on to the number of bends and elbows in the ducting system, as far as possible try to use minimum number of bends, and the distance between, gentlemen, AHU and FCU, as minimum you keep, the more efficient system will be. So site of installation of duct, facing of building, and so that it is not directly facing the sunlight, and opening of the fan coil unit. These are certain problems which executive face during the execution stage. Now coming on to, gentlemen, to the maintenance of the plant. Once the project has been planned, executed, now comes the thing where G maintenance plays his role. So he must make sure that servicing of the indoor and outdoor units are regularly carried out. Regular checks of the temperature, humidity, refrigerant, pressure should be done at the noted time frames. Also cleaning of air handling units and cleaning of duct. So one of the parameter which should be not left up to the lower level, and it must be regularly checked. Secondly, visual checks are very much important. The copper lines and other leakage of the refrigerant. Then one must see of the cleaning of the cooling tower, cleaning of filters, and one must have a regular checks towards the sound. Abnormal sound, if it has been heard, one must try to detect the source of it. Quantity of refrigerant and servicing of compressor is also equally important. That's all, gentlemen. I hope the whole slides where I have covered into right from the designing, planning, execution and maintenance will be helpful. If you keep all these parameters, what executives face problem, that is during the ST observations and all those things, these are also been catered. If you focus on all these three aspects, that is the designing, planning and execution, you will be facing less maintenance. Right. Thank you.